for your editing.
Hi guys, so today we have a new guest on House of Pretty Bird. It's a very good friend of mine, Thula. I'm really happy to have you here today.
It's great to be here. Very nice. I mean, no people can't see it, but it's a very nice, calming space.
It's a
It
vibe.
fits your brand and
It's a
how you
vibe.
generally are as a person.
It's a
So,
vibe. Yeah, and we
thank
have
you for
a
having
new
me.
space as well that we'll be shooting at now every now and then. Socioculture. So shout out to them for helping us out with this. Yeah, we haven't recorded in a while actually. I took a month sabbatical from shooting for the podcast just to get my mind right and to figure out, where I want to go with this. And yeah, like I said, new space, new people. We usually only
I'm new people.
yeah, use new people.
Yeah.
We usually only have conversations like
Yeah. They're very
during
like
workouts.
yeah, and they're very like sporadic.
Yeah.
But like we're always like, there's something here. We need to talk more. We need to talk more.
We
and
need to.
Life happens.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
now we are here. Do you wanna maybe? And Tula is a comedian, by the way, so he's a funny dude. He's a funny oak.
Some people would argue against that, but I'm Thula, Thula Sizwe, and I'm a stand-up comedian because I guess when you say comedian now, it's such a broad thing with the internet and stuff. So I'm a stand-up comedian, and I just like to talk, and I also like overshare, not in real life, but I overshare on podcasts. So yeah, that's just me.
Yeah. What's new in your life these days, like with the comedy and? I saw you did a poll today on Instagram as well.
Yeah, so I did a poll where I'm trying to find out what people, because I'm trying to I produce a lot of shows of my own, so I try to find, because I like theater comedy, like I told you. I like comedy, stand-up comedy, when it's in it feels very classic. I like that classic 90s comedy, like the Def Jam feel. But of course in South Africa we only see comedy in very limited spaces, in restaurants, bars, and whatever. So I was trying to find out if is that really what people actually want, or it's just what they have. They only have access to comedy in clubs and bars, so it seems like that's what they want, or they actually are interested in comedy in theater and stuff, but they just don't have access to that. And maybe it's where I would find that gap and fill in that thing that people want but they don't have. And so far, a lot of responses, people want to see comedy in theaters, which is exactly what I'm leaning towards doing the next month or so. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely chose restaurant, but I only chose restaurant because that's the only thing that I've experienced when it comes to comedy. I do like theater, but I don't go enough.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, there's an intimidation, there's something very...
Yes. I actually went to a theater production with Ruby not too long ago. It was the ballet. Okay. Which one was it? Swan Lake, something.
Yeah.
It was a Christmas one, wasn't it?
Oh, I love Christmas productions.
The Nutcracker, it was a Nutcracker, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I didn't have was my glasses, so I couldn't see anything.
Shame, yeah.
I couldn't see it, but I was there.
You were feeling this.
Yeah, and you can't take videos, man. So another option was for me to look through my phone, but we couldn't take videos of the show. I was assuming.
Yeah,
so
that's so wild. I guess as a person who's never needed glasses for to actually see, I have blue light things, but it's not that deep.
I literally couldn't.
Yeah, I can't even take it in that you can be in a space and you can't literally see, such a basic.
Yeah, I literally couldn't see the entire show, and that was a mistake.
What about now? How is now different? Can you?
So I can see you. I can see Ruby, but from Ruby it becomes like a bit blur.
So why not wear glasses full time? They mess up your aesthetic.
Yeah, it's like my face is pretty.
Sight. Yeah.
I'm gorgeous, and the glasses kind of takes that away from me. No, I'm kidding. I'm still looking for the proper glasses. The only thing about the contact lenses, it's an option, but it's just expensive. So I need both at the end of the day. So I want to get them. I want to invest in that, but we'll see how it goes. Because it would be better to see.
Yeah, yeah. So I would imagine so. Yeah.
I have glasses, but I only wear them at night when I really need them to see. And I understand my mom always tells me your eyes are gonna get worse if you don't wear your glasses. So I know that I'm a big girl.
Yeah.
I'm a big girl. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's what I like. What you're saying, that you picked restaurant because I mean I'm sure it's what you like, but it's also the only way you've been exposed to comedy.
Exactly.
But I do think that on our end, as like the practitioners of our art, whatever art you do, you sort of do have a responsibility to like elevate like the taste of the people, like what they used to. You have a responsibility to like add a bit, not don't just push them over the edge and be wild, but like hold their hand and walk them over to like a new experience. I feel like that's the only way the culture of any art evolves. Like you always need someone to walk you.
The
to
theater
that.
thing, the theater comedy in theaters is not a new thing. Like
Yeah, no, definitely not.
I've seen all of the big shows now.
Yeah.
Who was the lady? There was a lady that dropped something now also on Netflix.
In
Wanda.
Oh,
I love it. She's got funny.
She's like a legend.
She's got funny.
Yeah. See, exactly. In all other places, like it is very like big and whatever. In South Africa, we just don't have. The only time you have theater comedy is if it's in the very extreme. Like if Trevor Noah will do like lyric theater in Joburg or Emperor's Palace, where it's like thousands of seats. We don't have it as a regular occurrence where you can go watch like a 70 Rand show.
Or like a lineup of comedians.
Exactly.
I know they do it sometimes at the Grand West when people come here.
Yeah, but
then
yeah,
it's like a theater vibe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so let's move on to like the next part of this episode. So we tried something different today. And I drew up a list of conversation starters. So we have a little bowl here of conversation starters. And I mean the topics vary.
We need this bowl for real life. People can walk up to a park and be like, I have a bowl, pick something.
Pick something and read it out and
tell I'm picking.
So no. Okay. So each of us are gonna pick a question.
Okay.
There might or might not be 2 parts to the episode. We'll see how long like we talk, because we can talk for hours.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first? You want to rock, paper, scissors? Rock, paper. Okay, I go first. Cool. Let me closing my eyes, almost like I can see this.
Cool.
Okay. The first question is: can personal growth and transformation occur without stepping out of our comfort zones? Do you want me to read it again?
Interesting. Can personal growth and transformation happen outside of our comfort zone?
Yes.
Okay, I think I got it.
You go first. I'm asking you this question, but we can talk about it.
It's a personal transformation as well, right? Not like general transformation. Like,
I think within ourselves.
Yeah, I think I guess by definition of comfort, it's what I guess ties into what we were saying earlier. It always requires you to go like a bit outside of what you're familiar with, to like elevate what you're familiar with. And that's what growth also is. I think that's also the definition of growth. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, every growth thing, like when you look at it, like it will always have like the stretch marks part of it. Like if you like pulling skin and making it bigger, there's always gonna be like a thing that is gonna come as a consequence of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it can't happen without
it can't happen without like being uncomfortable.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think you need to take stock of because as much as we should be okay with being uncomfortable, that's a spectrum. You need to know how much discomfort you can take, because sometimes we put ourselves in situations where you add like a work or a job where things are really toxic, things are really bad, but you're like, no, this is for my personal growth, or a bad relationship, this is for my personal growth. But it's when the discomfort is now way beyond that. It's like actually now hurting you. So you need to, I think, know what level of discomfort for you is like the one that's still kind of healthy and productive, because it can go to a peak and then starts actually hurting you.
Yeah, no, 100%. Have you been like encountering any growth spurs? What do they call it? Yeah,
growth spurts.
Because obviously, like you looking at you now from the outside, no?
Yeah.
And obviously, speaking to you about what's happening in your life, there has to be some sort of like uncomfortability. Am I saying that right?
I mean, yeah.
there has to be a point where you have felt uncomfortable
Yep,
in
absolutely.
a space or wherever, you
Yeah,
know, like how do you navigate through that, like, because it must be hard
yeah,
to get through it, especially when like you're doing yeah, because you're doing a lot now also, right?
yeah.
And that
Because
must be uncomfortable, like how you
yeah,
navigating through that.
I mean, just from just to break it down into smaller pieces, just like the different aspects of my life, like stand up comedy on its own, I think it's one of the most unnatural, uncomfortable things to do. You're literally taking a microphone and standing on stage, and it's a group of people, and one of the most awkward things to happen in real life scenarios, like if now you have that friend that's always trying to make jokes but they're not landing, and it's awkward, like it just feels very cringe and painful. Imagine doing that now in front of strangers, full, they don't even like you. At least your friend maybe likes you.
Yeah.
They don't even like you, they don't know you, some of them are just there to drink, you're imposing this on them. So that is a very uncomfortable thing, but that you learn to sort of deal with it. And what I've seen with myself is that that has like moved on to different parts of my life as well. Like stand up has kind of been that core, because it's the thing that I do for, like it's things I'm obsessed with. Like it's my, like it's the thing I like live and breathe. So it's like it's become the core of everything. How I would approach things at work, in my personal life, all of that. Where I'm like, I know this one time where I was going to this gig and I was feeling whatever, and it was horrible for the first 10 minutes, and I feel like the people hated me. But then at the end of the day, we worked through it, and whatever, we worked through that discomfort.
Yeah.
And that discomfort, I've realized, is what you have to lean into. Because in the comfortable things, just relating into personal growth, it's things that are familiar, things that you know, and that's not interesting. If you watch a stand up comedian that's just going to talk about, hey, black people do this in taxis, colored people do. I don't know, there's something familiar about those
Or like a
concepts.
knock knock joke.
Yeah, exactly. But if someone will go up there and start like exploring like themes of like existential themes, like themes of like the zeitgeist of the time, that's where I'm drawn in. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This is different to what we used to. And that's the only way you can like uncover growth. If you just like, when you reach that discomfort, just like push a
through
bit,
it.
like a bit more. But again, there must also be that self awareness of knowing that, okay, it's okay to also not. You must push as far as you're ready to push. So I feel like there's also an aspect of that, like push, but also give yourself a bit of like, I don't know, a bit of self care at the same
Yeah.
time. It doesn't have to be ugly. Like you're not here to just push limits all the time. Some people are comfortable with living a certain life that's like comfortable and in a shell. I don't know. I don't blame those people. I feel like we
I feel to each his own also. To
exactly,
each his own.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
also, like we were talking about the Kanye thing yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were telling me that he, in his documentary, he literally got into an accident and the next day he went to go rap.
With,
Because
like,
he got this
stuff in his
opportunity.
jaw, yeah.
Exactly. So, like, for me, like, thinking about that and looking at, like, how far he's come now, right? Like, and you were saying there has to be, like, a screw loose, like, for you to
Yeah.
be able to, like, go through cack like that, no?
Yeah.
Why am I swearing? Go through stuff. It's
Yeah.
PG. It's not made for kids, but it's PG. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like you have to be a certain type of human being or just a person and have a certain amount of strength to be able to like, and perseverance also, man. To just be able to, when things are like, say for example, your whole life is falling apart, right? And our natural instinct as human beings are to try to fix everything that's kind of like breaking around us, right? So we want to fix things because we want things to work. But there's this one thing that's not broken, and it's the only thing that's working.
Yeah.
Right? I, as a person, I would focus on the thing that's working. Because I feel like eventually, when that thing is now working on its own, I can now focus on like the other things that's going on in my life and fix the other stuff.
Yeah, that energy
me.
of success or whatever in the thing that's working can spread to the other.
Yeah,
areas.
because I was I was having, I don't know if I should bring this up, but I was having a conversation with Ruby once.
Yeah.
And um, I don't know, I think it was like about relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I'm getting this wrong, just correct me, Ruby. But she was saying that we were talking one day and talking about relationships, and I was just like I'm not willing to like sacrifice
Mm.
the journey and the path that I'm on now to make a relationship work with
Mm.
with let's say,
That's deep.
with a man.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
With a man.
Yeah.
Like
Just to be clear. Yeah.
I'm not willing to do that because
Yeah.
I know the opportunity cost. We learned this thing called opportunity cost when I was studying business.
Yeah.
And like the cost of me losing focus on like the path and the journey that I'm on now is way higher
Than
than
losing a person, a relationship.
yes, than
Yeah.
losing a relationship. And for me, it's also if someone is meant for you, even whether it's a friend, whether it's a boyfriend, like if someone is meant for you, they will go with you along that journey. They will be there with it, and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be like right next to you. It can be
Yeah.
from afar also, you know. But they will be there on that journey. But it's never worth like leaving that one thing that keeps you alive every day.
Yeah.
It's never worth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like, I think that's where it goes to. We need to expand our idea of like relationships and what it means to like have a relationship with someone, because the only way we know relationships is that, okay, you are either like my friend in this way, or you are my girlfriend or my boyfriend in this way. There's a whole spectrum of that. There's like
Yeah.
people, hence, like I know, for example, maybe you'll attest to this, I'm horrible with like texting and like
Yes.
I'm like,
I can message Tula
oh
about something. This man will never get back to me, not even when he sees me about it. Like,
no. But okay, see that. Let me in defense of Tula. No, but it's like I've sort of like when I was young, because it started like I was late to join like phones and stuff, and
Yeah.
then when I like so I remember I got WhatsApp so much later, like when I was already I think in university, which is super late. Like everyone already like had it and whatever, and I never fully got into
you only got
it.
WhatsApp in uni.
Exactly. I was never. I even my phone. Like it's very hard on the phone call. Like it's hard for me to. Yeah.
You just like disconnected, like you didn't want to, or
But that's the thing. I don't even have like a deep philosophy for it, because I know there's
Okay.
people that are like, no, I don't like phones. I'm just a soulful person. No, I don't even have any of that. It just physically exhausts me.
I see.
So it's like I prefer like hands for me, like in relationships. There's been relationships where I felt like things hadn't worked out because of that, obviously.
Yeah.
Because of the mode of having to communicate. I'm like, okay, this is
But look, like
exhausting me. But when you find the right person and I spend a lot of time with them physically, that's where I make like my connections. If I'm gonna talk to you physically and I look at you in the eyes and like I understand what you're saying and all of that, then I find that makes it better and less stressful for me to text you as well. Like, so yeah, it fits into each other. So anyways, I was making the point that as I'm getting older, I used to be like too apologetic about it when I was younger, but as I'm getting older, I'm like, it's fine. There's like different kind of ways to like. I have friends where like most of my people are in Joburg,
Yeah.
because I'm from Joburg. There's people where I'm like it's okay. We'll see each other when I come home in June or in December, and we'll chill and be friends and we spend all the time together. Then I leave and we
you
won't
don't
talk for 3 months.
for months.
Like I've now accepted that's the person that I am, and I'm like that's the type of relationship that is.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, because people can also draw their own boundaries. Unless the person comes to you and they're like, hey, this isn't working for me and my needs of a friendship, then based on the value I put on that friendship, I'd be like, okay, let me try to work on this as far as I'm able to. But if I'm not, then it's just like not working.
Comfortable here quickly.
Sorry.
Now I hear you.
So yeah, that's kind of remember the original thing, but yeah.
But I don't take it personally though. Like I used to take it personally when I didn't get a response, but then I had to realize like I'm the same. Like I don't respond immediately, and sometimes it's like days where I just don't have the energy I want to speak to my friends, but I just don't have the energy to speak to them.
You'd rather like see them. I'd rather be like what I'd do that when we're still in university. I'd be like, someone would text me, then they double text me like, why are you not responding? Then I just go and knock on their door. For me, that's
you and Riz,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
For me, that's less energy. Like I can get out and drive and go. For me, that's less energy. Sometimes, not all the time. It depends on the context. Than for me to like do that thing where I take my phone and we have to press record on the voice. I'm like, you have to do that small laugh first, and that sometimes that's more energy for me. So I prefer like to. So I want relationships to be defined in a wider range. For that to be also okay for certain things. You said that you don't take it personally. You probably don't take it personally with me because, like, I'm not like. But if it was someone that you are like have an intimate romantic relationship with, that you want to talk to you'd probably take it a bit personal if they don't respond to you for days.
If like they set an expectation up for me.
Exactly.
So let's say let's take a boyfriend, right? Let's say he messages me for the first few months every single day. Every morning, it's like a ritual.
Yeah.
Good morning, and I know, okay, this is what is expected because I know he's gonna message me.
Yeah, this is the norm in that.
So if there's 1 or 2 days that I don't get a message, I will think something is wrong. I won't immediately like jump to conclusions and be like, oh, it doesn't love me anymore, blah blah. But I'll definitely think something is up. Like, and I think my first question would be like, are you okay? Is everything fine? You know. But if there wasn't that expectation set up in the first place, then I don't think I would mind, right? Yeah. But now I'm like, I have these spurs of like energy where I just want to talk to someone, right? But then I know for a fact that maybe the next person doesn't want to talk. So like with Ruby, I'll send her the message and then I'll say like, you don't have to respond now. Like I know you're probably tired from work or like talk to me later, whatever. Do you understand?
That's great. You see that I love that. I guess then part of being, because as much as you're that person sometimes who doesn't want to text, I know I'm that person. But there's a responsibility that you have to your relationships as an adult. So part of that responsibility is that for me, then for my like close friends, you have systems because you know yourself. So you have systems set up in place where it's going to be a time where I'm like super energetic on talk. But I know myself when I feel that dip sort of coming, like they can maybe send a message and I can just react to it on WhatsApp. Then they know I'm acknowledging that I've seen this unless it's urgent, but I'm acknowledging that I've seen it. I'll be back to it at some point. Might be days, might be whatever. So you put those systems so that you also don't like become too self-centered in your experience, but you also accommodate other people as far as you can. And it's
also like, I don't think it's fair to expect something from someone who didn't give you that expectation in the first place.
True.
So, like I said, the example I made early on is like if naturally a friend and I speak every single day, I would expect that to happen.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't, then okay, something's up.
Yeah.
But if it was a friend that I don't usually speak to every single day, and also I'm learning now that we can't have the same relationship with every single person in our lives.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's impossible because number one, I am different, and then you are different.
Yeah.
Right. At the same time, Ruby is different, Chelsea's different, like all my other friends, like everyone is different. So like, I had to learn my friends and the people around me and be like, okay, you are this kind of way, we have this type of relationship and vice versa. So these friends that I don't speak to, I hardly speak to, they don't know what's happening in my lives, nothing, but I love them to bits, right?
When you link up, it's like
and then there's friends that I speak to every single day and I check in with I love them the same, but I know the dynamics of all of my relationships, and like obviously there's still a few that I'm still learning, but I'm realizing that I can't expect everything to be the same.
Yeah, the same.
It's impossible.
Yeah. And with people being different, I feel like we don't think about that enough. How you sitting here, you are like an entire universe. There's like such a big combination of your experiences, your perceptions, your identity, and that gap between your actual identity and what you perceive as your identity. I also have that same world. Ruby has the same, like all of us, we have that. And that's why I think relationships become hard, whether it's friendships or like romantic relationships, because it's these two people that are like coming together from different contexts. Even if you lived in the same house, you still have completely different worlds in
like
your
my
mind.
sister and I, we are so different.
And you grew up like kind of the same way, but you didn't grow up the same way. So if you come together, it's like it's so hard. Hence, as I get older, I realize the importance of compatibility over like just the gooey feelings of oh, first date, this person is
butterflies.
cute. Exactly.
Butterflies or a red flag.
I love butterflies, by the way. I don't know why she hates love. So
I think butterflies is just a romanticized name or word for anxiety.
Interesting.
Trust your intuition.
Interesting. Okay.
If that is why, like, okay, so I had this relationship with this guy, and I asked him, like, obviously you get to this question phase where you're like, so
what's happening here?
No, not even that, not even that. It was like more of a like, so why do you like me? Like, what do you like about me? You know?
Yeah.
And his response was that when I'm around you, I feel calm. And I feel like that's like the most beautiful compliment to give anyone, because like I said, like the butterflies thing, I take that as like a sign of anxiety, because I'm a very intuitive person. So like I can read energies. You guys can come in. Do they want to come in?
Yeah, I'm sure just looking around. It's like when I'm around you, I feel calm because you give me weed. No.
But yeah, and I just found that was like the most beautiful compliment that I don't know, like usually, okay, as a woman, when you get compliments from guys, or like, okay, from my personal experience is that when I ask the man, like, so why do you like me? Oh, you're beautiful, you're hardworking, you're goal orientated. Like, to be quite frank, I don't give a fuck about any of those things. Because anyone can be beautiful, anyone can be hardworking. At the end of the day, that's a necessity for me. Like, I need to be this person. Right. You know, it's not really who I am. You know, so if you're telling me that,
that's deep. Like, these are all things that are sort of a base for you to like have a life. For you to
exactly. So if you're telling me that the surface level stuff is what attracts you to me, then you really don't know me. You know what I mean? And so now I take that as a sign of like, okay, so you're not really interested in me because you haven't really gotten to know me. Because if you would know me, you would know that I'm quite a peaceful person. I'm a Zen, I'm a chakrahan, in a way. You know, like I like my space, I like solitude. You'd know that about
You're
me.
literally sitting in a chakrahan pose right now. I think.
Exactly. Hello guys, so this episode was sponsored by local streetwear brand Socioculture. Please give them a follow on Instagram, and if you like what you see, you can cop their merch at Jack Lemkus or the roller skate shop in Cape Town. Thank you so much for watching this episode of House of Pretty Bird. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you see. Yeah, so we're gonna go on to Thula's question now, and he's gonna pick his question. So you're just gonna pick the top one. You're not even gonna dig
I'm
in
a simple guy. Ooh, let's go. How has your perception of yourself evolved over the years, and what have been key factors that influence this change?
How has my perception of myself evolved
over the years? Yeah, and what factors have affected this change? What has been key in that evolution?
My perception of myself has definitely evolved. I have to think about this one now, because when I was younger, I feel like I was a bit of a toxic girly.
Okay, that's big to acknowledge.
Yes. Okay. And I definitely am aware enough to know and look back and be like, oof, like I was a crazy girl. Like I dealt with like a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and trauma from like a very young age. So I feel like that molded a lot of like the way that I used to go through life and experience life and the things that I used to do. And I think that and I did this. Well, this is a hard question. Why did I do this to myself? I did this exercise a few months ago because I like journaling, and It was like a journal prompt exercise, and I had to speak to myself as the woman that I want to become. So the questions were based on like, if your future self was speaking to you now, what would she tell you, right? And it made me think about me in that myself in that moment, and myself as a little girl, and myself as or a teenager and a little girl. So I've worked through my childhood traumas in a bit, but now I'm going through my teenage traumas, and she's a very rebellious girl,
Yeah.
right? But she was rebellious for a reason. She was rebellious because she always felt misunderstood, and she was rebellious because she was also strong-willed. So because I used to stand up for myself, and I never used to let people walk over me, and I used to be blunt, and as a teenage girl, like I never used to keep my mouth. Like I used to argue with my parents, bro. Like what you're doing is wrong. Like, and I was a fighter, man. Like even physically sometimes. So my perception of myself changed over the years because like I had to grow up.
Yeah. Also, that's one of the key factors that affected
I had to
the
grow up,
necessity to grow.
but I also had to heal. Perception can change with
And it should
experience.
change.
With experience, perception can change with a different point of view, right? So I can have a point of view today that won't be the same as yesterday because I've gone through today and I've experienced today, right? So I feel like I'm changing every single day because I'm learning new things all of the time. So I always say that the woman that I was yesterday and the woman that I was a month ago, it's not the same woman I am today. Because I had to go through a whole bunch of experiences even today, right? Coming to this show, setting up the show, figuring it out, and most of the time figuring it out on my own and making the move and taking the leap of faith and doing all of that. It turns you into a different person, right? And every day as you walk towards as I walk towards the woman that I want to be and the woman I want to become, I change. And that goes back to our question the first time. It's like you are put into these uncomfortable positions, uncomfortable spaces, or spaces where you have to make a decision, right? It's like, am I going to respond to something today, or am I going to go through this challenge today as the Lauren I was yesterday, or the Lauren that I am today?
Okay. That's very.
She said
that's
philosophy.
Very,
philosophy.
She's wild. Speaking on philosophy, there's this. I don't know if you know him. David Hume. He's like one of the most influential philosophers when it comes to like defining because one of the biggest questions in philosophy is like, who are you? Like, who is the self? Like, what is that entity? We all have an idea of like the self, the soul, the spirit, the thing that is in you. And then the challenge is like defining what is that in an effort to say, if I understand what is that, then maybe I can behave in ways that serve that instead of hurting it. And what he said, like his definition of identity and the self was that you are only yourself in as much as you perceive yourself based on your experiences. Which sounds like it's such a concise summary of everything that you are can literally be boiled down to your experiences. But then what makes you you, because everyone can have the same everyone can have the experience of being someone who played soccer, whatever. But then it's like, how did you as Lauren perceive that? And how do you perceive that now? So those two combinations are the only things that make you fully unique as a person in terms of your experience. There can only be one of you. Like you and your sister can grow up in the same house with the same parents who are straight in the same way. But how you as Lauren perceived that and how you perceive it now is different to how she perceived it as a child and how she perceives it now. So it's like, and that's what I like in coming to this question with me, like in terms of my evolution. I was the opposite of you. I wished I was you, like growing up, like that rebellious. My sister was like that, and I was like, oh, this looks so good. Like, because I have a big brother, and my older sister, like only 2 years older than me, was like you. Like, she'd stand up to my parents, she'd be rebellious, whatever. I was like that child who was like, yeah, I was a very anxious child. I mean, maybe I don't look it now, but like in primary school especially, I was like a very quiet child. My sister had to like fight for me. Like I was that kid. I was like a very quiet, like very shy child. And then the interesting thing that happened is when you see like your sister being rebellious, just normal things, just a good person, just normal rebel like you, I'm sure. You sort of wanna be the breath of fresh air for your parents, which is a trap. Don't do it, kids. Rebel.
Rebel.
Yeah, I definitely advise that. So you want to be the one who's like, okay, my mom already had to shout at my sister today for maybe coming back after curfew. Let me be the one. And parents keep doing that positive reinforcement. We're like, oh, you're the good one.
Yeah.
And then you embrace that. But then that comes with very bad side effects. It comes with extreme people pleasing that you have to fight throughout your entire adulthood, things I'm still dealing with now. It comes with you pushing aside your needs and not being able to articulate your needs. Something I still like struggle with, and something that I guess my current relationship has helped me with, where it's really the only space I've ever been in where I'm able to fully articulate my emotional, and in a way that like when the other person is fully attentive, not just in what you say but your behavior and what to do, and they can deduce to be like, oh, is this what you, and you're like, yes, how did you know, in a way that you've never realized that, oh, this is actually what I need, this is what that inner child.
Yeah.
So I've now evolved to try to be more present, to take up more like space, and because my intuition, bro, my like instinct in any space is to like is to be that person.
I mean, that kind of comes across as you being a shy guy.
Exact, but it's like I have
But
a
you
whole
have
world inside me. I'm
confident,
like,
yeah.
which is I guess what stand up has allowed me to do. But with stand up, it doesn't really feel like me. Like when I'm on stage, I don't know. There's a difference. Of course, it's a performance. Like it doesn't fully feel like me. It's an exaggerated like me. I'm very like we do like a lot of shows where like people will come to me after the show and be like, "Yo, well, I can't believe you said," because I do a lot of self-deprecation. I'm like extremely self-aware, but which is again a result of growing up the way I grew up, and it was in a very religious environment. So I was like that kid who was like
the obedient one.
I was fully that, but in a very and I was just lost. Like I read like like I was just that guy. I was just reading novels. I'm like if you can see my novel stack. So I was preferring to go to like alternate reality than be in like the real world, because that felt too confrontational and I had anxiety and it was just a lot. So now I'm trying to step out of that and be myself and be the person, I guess, in real life. I'm trying to be the person that I am on stage. Because on stage I'm very confident. I'm very thingy, and hence people, like I was saying, people get surprised when they come to me afterwards and they're trying to find that guy. But I'm like, it is me, but it's not really me. Like it's not fully me. Like I'm very like extreme. I try to go to my darkest thoughts, my deepest thoughts, my most ambitious thoughts, and all of that. Which is what like I mean, my podcast is limited episodes, but that's why I overshare. Also, I go into my Thula, You Talk Too Much. Check it out on Spotify. Ooh, quick plug. All right. So so that has been kind of my evolution arc, where I'm like, it's just me trying to be more present and I take up more space intentionally.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I would see that other people do perceive me as, oh, this guy is actually here, he is taking up, but I'm not feeling that. So I want to perceive that as well. I want that to be my experience. But wait, before we close this question, I want to ask you, if you were looking at your arc, just your entire life, if you were like, there was a movie about you, right? What would be what's the storyline? Let's put this arc in the form of a movie. I think in movies, what's the storyline? Like if you're looking at that main character, what's that final scene? Not really final scene, but that scene where things clash, whatever, if you get what I mean. Like what's the arc? What's the story arc of your,
like the peak of the movie?
Of your movie. Yeah. I guess you can pick any part. Let me not limit it to the peak. Here's a 1 hour movie and you have to write it quickly. What is Lauren? I want to see
movie,
what's more
so
important
it's
to you.
fictional.
But it's based on your life.
But it's based on my life.
Yeah.
The turning point, like when I crashed and then I was like,
yeah. And what were like sort of the like the lessons from that. Who's the character? Because characters in movies have that point where it's either gonna be a guy that's like maybe an asshole, or he's busy dating around whatever, and then something happens, the big thing, and then he has to go into a journey of self-discovery. Then he discovers something that kind of changes, like those kind of things.
For me, that would be. So there was a point in my life a few years ago where I literally had no friends. I had no one. I knew people. I knew people, and the people that I thought were my friends at that point, and maybe a little bit afterwards as well. They weren't really like the friends that I have now, right? But if I look at that point of my life, it's like everything fell apart because I was trying to, like that thing, I was trying to fix everything else around me. But the one thing that I needed to focus on, which was my business, was myself, was my career and all of that, I wasn't really taking note of that, but I was trying to fix everything around me. And it was like, with my friends, I was like, oh no, I'm going to help you do this. Oh, I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to. And at the end of the day, all of that people took me for.
Take yourself, Ruby.
No, not Ruby.
No, okay. You know,
like, and all of that people abandoned me and left me, and then I had to go through that same cycle of abandonment. But that was just the worst, because now I had nothing anymore. I was alone.
You had nothing to give.
I had nothing to give. I had nothing to even give myself. I couldn't even feed myself. I was like broke. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I this person? And in a sense, it's also like a people pleasing thing. It's like you want everyone else around you to do well, to do great, because you see the potential in all of them, right? But people can change on you in a second, bro. Like, you cannot count on anyone to be loyal to you. Just make sure that you are the person that you say you are. Make sure that you are pouring into yourself. And I was left with no friends. I was left with no money, no direction. I lost everything. I stopped running the boutique. I was eventually done studying, and it was like in the point of COVID also. So there was like a lot going on. The boyfriend that I had at the time cheated on me. And he was like the one thing I was holding on to, because, we are Bonnie and Clyde, we are doing business together, period, you know. And now I didn't have that, you know. So I essentially had nothing, and then I had to go into like survival mode and like apply for jobs and blah, 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 blah. Like, there was a lot that I had to just fix for myself. And I don't regret that experiences at all, because if anything, that's also why I have that point of view, or I don't know what it is.
Prioritizing your things and your business and whatever.
Because I know that I see the best in people. I know, like with my sister, for example, she has a baking business, and I'm just like always putting ideas into that, but it's not up to me at the end of the day to implement it. That I used to go as far as actually doing that, you know, for the next person, and you lose a lot.
Like, dude, the potential, I think, and this would be great advice. I think I see, like, I have a lot of like female friends, and I always tell them this because I see them fall into that trap where they will fall in love with the potential of what a guy can be instead of what he actually is. I think we do that a lot with friends or with people in romantic relationships, where it's like you need to assume that what the person is now is what they could be forever. Like, you, of course, you want to think the best about people, whatever, but that's always going to be up to them to do the things and implement the change that makes them better. But for your own sanity, you need to assume that what I'm showing you I am now is who I am. You can't be like, maybe in future if I do this, and then you bob the building people, and then it like usually doesn't work out.
One thing about me, one thing and two things and three things, is I'm not Bob the Builder.
She's Lauren the Builder, just to clarify.
I'm building my own empire here. You can build yours next to me. I'm not going to use my concrete to give you concrete. This is not a biggie cycle there. Then I don't have any more sugar for my tea tomorrow morning. I don't got time for that now. If you don't have anything to give, then don't give it. And I see that in my family all the time.
Yeah.
I see that with people around me. I see that with just in general also. You see it everywhere around. It's like, obviously we're human beings, right? And we are naturally
Yeah.
no, we aliens. We're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
We are codependent people, so we always want to help and assist and do this and that and that and that. And that's just who we are in our nature, right? But we forget that we live in a society now where the community aspect of society has kind of like faded away.
Yep.
And that codependence can only work if there's a community around you that is strong. But we don't really have that anymore.
Which is, it's so hard though, because what you're saying is 100% true. But it goes against like our core as, I guess, as a people, as African people. All we know is Ubuntu, whatever thing. But then you go outside and you look at the reality. You go to work, you go to corporate, you're like, oh, it's a lot of individualism that's happening, and that's what you sort of need to like power through and whatever. But then our values and like our culture, there's like community being pushed. So it's like a weird double consciousness that you have to
100%. And I also do believe that if you find that community of people around you who support you and you know who you can pour in and they can pour back into you, and you know, like earlier on, Ruby was cucking me out. It's like, why am I here then if you need a production assistant? And like sometimes I forget, man, that I have
people are here
because
for
we're
you.
so used to. I'm so used to working on my own. I'm so used to figuring stuff on my own because, like I said, it came to a point where I was alone. And then from there, I had to figure it out alone for a few years. And I would get into a cycle of like figuring it out on my own. And then I would get into relationships, cut friendships, do that same thing happens again, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm at a point now where I'm like completely done with it. And I'm on a path of like, okay, let's heal. Let's figure out why we keep going into that cycle so that I can now start to trust the people around me, not to abandon me again. And build that community. Like I told my therapist, the reason why I'm here is because I want to figure out, or I want tools. I want to learn the tools that I can use in my relationships with my friends and my family and the people around me. Because that's the only way I feel like I can excel in life. Anyone, like, how do you think people built the fucking pyramids, bro? Because they used each other. And it wasn't like I'm gonna use you and then go off. It's like, I'm gonna use you today. Tomorrow you're gonna use me. And we know that we're gonna
barter trading.
Like the Jews work, bro. Like they only work within their little society and their community.
We love the Jews. Just a disclaimer. We also love Kanye West. No, that's not. Should cut that. Yeah,
we do love him though. Like he's the epitome of rebellion.
Why don't you start saying the Jews? We have to slow down.
Duality.
Cool.
So what was I gonna say? Like if you take them for example and their culture and the way that they work, it's like they support each other. They don't go outside, and sometimes we see it as like, oh, they don't want to help anyone else but themselves.
But that's how you build community.
That's how they've grown. You know, and
you see that with the Pakistani shop owners, like what they do with their chain of shops and whatever, and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly. So find your people, and I'm so blessed to have found women, especially now in my life, that I can build relationships with. It's not easy. Like I have this kind of like the intimacy thing. We can maybe talk about this later. But the intimacy.
There's a lot of pressure coming from this side of the room.
We have an audience here. But the intimacy is very hard for me. And I know you can show that in a lot of different ways. But I feel like you need that intimacy and that vulnerability to be able to build that foundation, you know.
What do you mean when you say the intimacy in like friendships is hard for you?
Like I won't easily like hold Ruby, and she won't either. You know, we're like weird when it comes to that, man. And I feel like there's a barrier that needs to be broken when it comes to that. Like,
but it's what like, you said you're working on.
We're working, working on that comfortability. That, especially when you don't have that kind of relationship with the woman figures in your life. There's no hugging or hugging, I love you, some kisses goodbye and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a very foreign thing to you. you know. And I don't know if it's just in the colored community. I can only speak for my experiences, obviously, but like it's a very foreign thing for me to have that intimate relationship with a woman, like loving and hugging and kissy and donuts and all that. And that's beautiful because I try to, you know what's funny? It's like I will hug the man that I love. I will hug and cuddle him and be lovey-dovey. But when it comes to my best friend, like I'm just like, it's weird.
I also hug and kiss the men that I love, but it's hard for the women.
And it's hard for the women.
Bad joke.
No,
continue. Yeah,
Hey.
it's fine. You can kiss and whatever, man. As long as you say no homo, it goes away.
We are allies, yeah. We are part of the LGBTQR community.
I'm the plus size.
And it's Pride Month this month. Yes. But yeah, and to go back to that question, which was how has your perception of yourself evolved over the years, and what are key factors? The key factors of my perception is
shopping.
Oh, you're just checking. Go for it. You don't have to rush through it. I think one of the key factors was my experiences and changing the way that I viewed people. Especially the people that played bigger roles in my life. So like for your parents, for example. And obviously you would think that your parents are growing up, you think your parents are supposed to be the specific kind of person, right? But just realizing that they're just humans and they also have human
experiences. They're figuring it out,
they also had to figure it out, and they also have human experiences. Played a big role in me growing and trying to be more empathetic and less of people should do this, and more of a like people can do it, but they can also choose not to.
Oh yeah, that's I mean?
And in the same way they have a choice, I have a choice. I have a choice to respond. I have a choice to figure out what it is that I want with my life, and if the situation is not serving me, I don't have to be in the situation. Another like key factor that influenced me was learning that things are not personal. Like it's very hard because I'm struggling with that now. It's like when someone is coming at you being like, this is you.
It's more about them.
It's more about the next person than it is about you.
Yeah.
And you can take that as a moment of self-reflection as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how can I change my response now? Because I know that I used to respond in a specific kind of way, right? Like, automatically, as a rebellious person and someone that felt misunderstood like her entire life, and first, a woman that speaks her mind, a woman that has rules, a woman that has boundaries alone is it's almost like she's a menace to society, man.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Like the conversation.
It's not familiar. It's like it's so
familiar now, but imagine growing up as that girl that didn't really fit in anywhere, that liked so many things, but everyone was telling her you can only choose one path. Like I was telling you, and you figured this out. She was like, Lauren, but you're good at this. Lauren, I'm good at a lot of things, right? But when you told like your whole life that you can only be good at one thing, right? It changes like your perception of who you are as well. You're like, oh, I need to fit into this box now, right? And when I realized I don't have to be one person, I can be good at a lot of things if I want to. I can explore everything. And even now in my life, I'm like struggling with do I niche down in what I want to do, in the content that I'm taking for social media? Or do I just fucking explore everything and figure out along the way, like, okay, this is working now. This is what how will you know what you love and what you don't love if you don't actually do it? But because people are telling you that you can only do one thing, you're not only going to focus on this one thing. Meanwhile, you're unhappy and miserable.
Yeah, and there's an abstract pressure of time, like, oh, I'm going to approach my 30s, which is very abstract and it's not even real. It's like none of that really
people
exists.
Preach the time is money. People preach you can't waste time. You can't do that.
But it's not wasting time figuring things out. It's part of the process.
It's a process.
It's actually wasting time if you in a place where you know you no longer want to be there or doing a thing, but you're still sticking because of fear, because of whatever. That is what I'd argue is wasting time over you exploring stuff and whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we.
How long have we been rolling? Let me wait. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Tula. So it was really lovely having you on the show today. We actually had the topic was what, toxic masculinity. We were supposed to talk about
Yeah.
but we can talk about that again. I'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm
again.
the face of toxic masculinity. So
Yes.
no, I'm not.
You the face
No.
of men on the show.
Oh, actually, yeah.
You are the face of men.
I'm carrying a lot of men on my back.
I'd really
No
love
homo.
to.
Yeah. Sorry.
Happy Pride Month.
Yeah.
I'd really love to have you on the show again. But this was a lovely
Nice.
first run and
Yeah.
first experience for us as well.
Yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
like I said, we usually only speak within
Yeah.
certain bounds, whatever you
Yeah.
can call that.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time out, and it was great to have you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being a great production assistant that wasn't recognized previously. Just need to start some fire before I leave. Yeah.
I'll send you your job description later.
Nice. Cool.
Officially employed by Hop.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Bye,
This was
guys.
great.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe and all the other stuff, and share if you like this video. Comment. Donkey. Bye.
Cool.
Bye.